I'm Michelle, and we're going to talk about how I and you can use mindfulness, compassion, and connection to find your inner calm and a little more sanity in your parenting. Welcome to Compassionate Heart Parenting. I'm your host, Michelle, and if you've ever found yourself snapping at your kids, caught in a yelling pattern that you hate, and then drowning in the shame afterward, I want you to take a deep breath. You are in the right place. I know that cycle because I lived it. I am an emotionally focused family therapist and a veteran of hand in hand parenting for over a decade. But more importantly, I'm a mom who knows what it's like to feel burnt out and on edge. Each week, we're moving away from the overwhelmed and toward the calm and connected. We're using the science of mindfulness and self compassion to find your inner calm and a little more sanity in your parenting. Today, we're diving into why I stopped trying to fix my emotions and what happened. So, let's get started. So, as I said, I'm a therapist with over 15 years of experience, but today I'm not talking to you from the clinician's chair. I'm talking to you from my bathroom floor. Okay, not literally. For years, I had the intellectual tools to stay calm, yet I still found myself burned out, yelling, and drowning in shame. And this was about 10 years ago. I thought the answer was to fix my emotions, to fix myself, to do better, so I could finally be the parent I wanted to be. But everything changed the day that I stopped trying to fight myself. And today I'm sharing the story of how I moved from that self criticism to self compassion and why listening to your pain is the only real way to find inner peace. So, many of us have been given the message from a young age to stop crying and that our emotions are a problem. And we get those messages from parents, teachers, the culture in general, media, and oftentimes, the people that love us, they had really good intentions. They might say things like, it's okay, don't cry. And sometimes it could be a little bit more harsh, like, I'll give you something to cry about, or don't come out of your room until you sort yourself out, right? And little boys may have received even more specific messages like, don't be a wimp or don't be a little girl, which also has a whole bunch of problems in it, right? Sexism. And um, so we were not getting the message that emotions are okay or information. We were getting the message, or we received the message, emotions are bad, problems. They need to be turned off, put away, or we would be put away, right? So in my office every day, I see people struggling with their own emotions. And I hear them say things like they don't want to cry. They don't like crying, which is totally understandable. You might feel that way as well. And the thing is, it's reasonable as human beings that we want to move away from anything that's painful, right? If it's physical pain, we want to move away from it, which is a good thing. And if it's emotional pain, we also similarly want to move away from it. And we want to feel good, or at least okay. But if we only ever try to keep our emotions at a distance, that can create many relational blocks for us. And specifically, we're talking about parenting relational blocks. So, on one particularly long day, I was really tired and on edge, and I was not going to take much. It wasn't going to take much that if my kid's doing this or that to like just push me over the edge. I'm sure that you can relate to one of those days, right? And my son and daughter did what brothers and sisters do, and they got into a fight, and I lost it. I started getting very angry and yelly, and luckily, at this point in my journey, I stepped away because I could see that my reaction was not helping the situation. And it took a long time, just so you know, to get to that point of being able to step away. Like I spent a lot of time and energy and effort getting to the point where I could actually pause and step away. But once I stepped away, I wasn't sure what to do with all the emotions that were flooding me. And this is as a therapist, right? I was thinking about it a lot from a therapist point of view. And also, I was flooded from a human point of view. I was angry at the kids, but I was even more angry at myself. I was ashamed of my behavior. I was tired physically, emotionally, and I was just really sad that this is how things were going. And I felt desperate for something to go differently or feel differently. And sitting on the bathroom floor, I recognized that I couldn't escape my emotions as much as I might have wanted to. And I heard Emily Nagoski's voice inside that I needed to go through the tunnel of my emotions. She talks about this in her burnout book that she wrote with her twin sister, which is an awesome book. I highly recommend it. So when I judged and criticized myself, I only felt worse. And it didn't help me respond better to my kids. And this pattern became more and more evident. If I tried to ignore my feelings and push them away, they were always just waiting for me the next time something happened. And they seemed sometimes to even get bigger and more overwhelming. So at this point in my journey, I had read a lot about self compassion. I love Tara Brach's work on self compassion, and she introduced me to the RAIN practice. So I started using the RAIN practice. The R stands for recognize, A, allow, I, investigate, and N is need or nurture. And going through these, I did not, it didn't take away the painful feelings. In fact, I was staying in the feelings, but I was conscious and curious in a compassionate way. So I thought I could just become a calmer parent because I wanted to. I thought I could will myself into being a calmer parent. Or honestly, the biggest thing I thought was that I just needed to try harder at what? I'm not sure. All of the things that weren't working, I guess. But what I actually found was that I had to honor the emotions that were arising inside of me in these tough parenting moments. I had to learn how to stay with them and to be curious without criticism. That's a big caveat there. I had to offer my compassion, my self compassion when I was struggling. And ironically, all the things that we're trying to do for our kiddos when they're struggling, right? So if you think about like when your kiddo's having a hard time, when they're sad, when they're upset, what do we want to do? We want to go toward them, be there for them when they're in that difficult moment. We're curious about what's happening. We try to avoid feeling, really harsh and angry with them and judging them. We just want to be kind of understanding of, oh, they're having a hard time, right? So this is how we want to show up for our kiddos. And wow, wouldn't it be amazing if we could show up for ourselves in the same way to be with them and to be with ourselves with love and compassion, supporting ourselves until we get to the other side. So, returning to the RAIN practice again and again can give you lots of opportunities to practice. And the thing that was crazy for me is it didn't just help me be a calmer parent, something unexpected happened. That over time, I began to have a quieter mind and less anxiety and a completely different relationship with myself. So, if you are also trying to muscle through these tough parenting moments, if you think to yourself, I shouldn't be pausing. I should try harder. You're not alone. And you are very normal. Obviously, I've been there too, but it's not just us, it's many parents over the past 15 years, I've met with so many parents that have described such similar feelings and experiences. And you can use these moments for real inner change to occur. The next time you have a big emotion in your parenting, notice, get curious. There is a good reason that you feel however you're feeling. And you have the potential in this moment to not just pause and regain your footing, but also to change your relationship with yourself. So let's see what this would look like. This is where you start to shift from inner criticism and self blame to inner compassion, care, and curiosity when you're struggling. So remember a recent time that a difficult parenting moment came up and it brought up some kind of big emotion in you. Maybe it brought up anger, fear, sadness, upset. Maybe you didn't know, it was just felt really bad. So let's go through the RAIN practice for you. R, recognize. Ask yourself, what am I feeling? And the thing is, it's not just going to be one thing. Oftentimes, most times I would say, it's a list of emotions. So start listing them off. Maybe you feel angry, maybe you feel sad, maybe you feel fearful, maybe you feel upset, whatever the words are. A, allow. Give yourself permission for that emotion to be there without judging yourself, without judging that emotion, for it just to be there. This one's kind of funny for me because I often think I don't feel like I have a choice. This emotion is here. I can't get away from it, right? So you might have that experience. Or if you're someone who has a tendency to push emotions away, that might apply to you more. But the allow isn't just avoiding pushing emotions away. The allow is also stepping out of judgment of our emotions, which most people struggle with judging their emotions or pushing them away, and often both. So I is interconnected. I switched this one up um, because I wanted to include Kristen Neff's Common Humanity, where she describes common humanity as the antidote to shame, which tells us that we're alone, that we're the only ones, that there's something wrong with us for how we're feeling or how we're reacting or what we're saying, or what we're doing. So say to yourself with your hand on your heart, I'm not alone. Many parents would feel angry about fill in the blank. Then N is need nurture. How can you care for yourself when you're struggling emotionally? What do you need when you're struggling? So this one I think is really hard when you're in the thick of it because the most common answer I get to this question is, I don't know. I don't know what I need. I need to feel better. I need this not to happen anymore. And the idea of what do I need from a more compassionate place is kind of foreign, actually. So if you find that question really frustrating, you're not alone. And I would just ask you to notice that you find that question frustrating and keep asking yourself. Keep asking yourself. And I will give you a couple of responses in case you're like, I don't know what I need. Just tell me. That's totally reasonable. I would suggest reaching out to someone you trust, even if you don't talk about what happened. So the need could be a need for connection, right? An actual, like, I'm reaching out to someone. So you could text a friend. It could be totally neutral, like, how's your day? It could be like, I'm having a moment, like, do you have time to talk? So it could be, depending on how you're feeling in the moment, depending on your level of trust in that relationship, can depend on how kind of open you are about what actually is happening. But you can still reach out even if you don't get to talk to them, even if you don't really want to talk about what's happening. And that can still help you feel less alone. So I would still give that a try. And if that's not accessible for whatever reason, Then another option that you can try is self-compassion. So with your hand on your heart, which this is significant because it's signaling comfort and calm to your nervous system. Say to yourself, this is a tough moment. May I be gentle with myself in this tough moment. And you might add, may I be gentle with my child in this tough moment. So it's an actual act of self-compassion. That could be your in. And I do want to provide a caveat for this whole conversation because there were many times when I was doing my best to lean in. Okay, I'm supposed to lean into my emotions. This is what I'm learning as this is what I've been taught as a therapist. This is what I try to help other people do. This is what, meditation teachers are saying, like, this message is all around me. But when I lean in, I seem to get so flooded and overwhelmed that I don't know that that's just really helping. And I love that Kristen Neff I'm sorry, actually, it was Tara Brach who addressed this specifically in her book. I think it's Radical Compassion. And the deal is that if you are trying to do this rain practice or lean into your emotions in whatever kind of way, and you notice that you feel totally flooded and that it really intensifies your emotions to a point that feels really overwhelming, then that is a signal that you're outside of your window of tolerance. So within our window of tolerance, it's kind of like um, our ability to kind of manage our emotions. When we flip out of it, we either are getting into hyper or hypo arousal, and that means that we cannot really learn or grow from that experience anymore because we're too flooded and overwhelmed. But if we're close to the edge, so it might feel really uncomfortable, it doesn't feel good, it's sort of like difficult, but it sort of feels manageable. There's a big difference, and you can feel it when you're outside of your window of tolerance. It feels totally unmanageable. This is a signal that you can give yourself permission to mindfully distract yourself from those intense emotions. It's okay to say, you know what? I am outside of my window of tolerance. I'm flooded with emotions here. Like, I need to step away from these emotions. And you can do something like watching cute puppies on Instagram. You can listen to something funny, anything that calms your nervous system and shifts your brain state, hopefully to a more manageable place when you're outside of that window of tolerance. And in some cases, you might want to seek professional help from a therapist in your area if you notice that this happens for you. And it can be one of the reasons that it can happen is because we've had a past traumatic experience, and somehow whatever's currently happening is stirring that up. And so that can be a time when it's really helpful to get some professional help around that. And I wish, in that case, it's really important to remind yourself that that's a brave act and it's an emotionally healthy and self-compassionate action to take, to say, okay, I need to, give myself, like, the rain practice is nope, not happening. I need to distract myself from this. I need to watch cute puppies or whatever it is that's your choice on Instagram or wherever you find the things that distract you. And then I'll come back to it. Seeking professional help, also brave and emotionally healthy and a self-compassionate action to take. So again, as an EFT emotionally focused therapist with 15 years of experience, I knew the theory and I still burnt out. So the thing is, like, if you're struggling, it's really normal and human. There are good reasons that whatever is happening is happening. And this stuff can be hard. So I really want you to know that we're in this together and you don't have to walk through this alone, even if it's just kind of the knowing of other parents like myself who have been there in these difficult moments. So, a closing reflection question: what is one emotion that you've been trying to push away or fix in the last week? Is there anything that you can think of that you've been trying to push away or fix? And is there anything that that emotion might have been trying to tell you? And that can be a great journaling prompt if you want to um, try journaling about that. The light in me sees the light in you. Be well. And if you are enjoying this show, please rate it and review it. This will help me keep the show going, and so more parents can feel less alone and find more self-compassion in their parenting. A reminder, this content is intended for educational purposes only and should not be used as a replacement for private psychotherapy services. Compassionate Heart Mindful Life does not provide psychotherapy services in any capacity. I am a therapist, but I'm not your therapist, and this is not therapy and should not be a substitute for mental health treatment. If you need mental health treatment, please find a qualified professional in your area.